Coming up on the season premiere of Midco Motorsports, South Dakota's historic Huset Speedway is changing hands. We'll hear from the man that's turning over the keys after nearly 30 years of running the races in Brandon. Mark Donbar may have a new ride, but he's up to a lot of the same old tricks. Find out if the new look 13 was able to continue its run of early season success. And the Ironman Challenge Series invaded Northwest Iowa over the weekend. We'll recap their stops in Sioux Center and Rock Rapids. The green flag drops now. And how is everybody doing? I'm Jay Elsen, and this is Midco Motorsports. The 2015 season at Huset Speedway has become a farewell tour for the Rubin family. The Rubins, who've had sole ownership of the track for nearly 3 decades, reached an agreement to sell the historic 1/3 mile bull ring to the Badlands Entertainment Group in April and will officially turn over the keys following this season. Midco Motorsports' Rod Pattison has more on that in this week's Inside Track.
There have been many stories this past offseason and early in this season about dirt track racing in our area. Probably none bigger than the sale of this iconic racetrack behind us, Huset Speedway. And the man that passes the torch is our guest on Inside Track, Steve Rubin. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You look back at all of the rumors, and I know how rumors go. If you don't hear one by 9 o'clock in the morning, start one. But a lot of people were talking about the sale to possibly Terry McCarl or Tony Stewart. All of a sudden, here comes Chuck Brennan, and it's a done deal. I know he's had a great relationship with you in the racetrack. How did that conversation start?
Well, I've known Chuck for a lot of years, and we've done concerts together and become pretty good friends. And with him starting the Badlands Pawn operation in Sioux Falls and needing a place to host some big concerts, and everything he does in a big way. And if you sit back and look, a place that you're going to want to have, Huset Speedway is going to be able to hold probably one of the largest concert venues in the state of South Dakota when he's done. So
obviously a lot of memories here. You and your family have been part of it for the better part of 30 years, 3 decades, and so many memories here. Some of them great, some of them not so great. Can you pick out a few of them that maybe stick out in your mind as some of the top moments, I guess, in Huset Speedway history with the Rubin family involved?
Well, it goes back not only the 20-some years that we've had it, it goes back to back in the 50s when my dad was involved. So there's been a Rubin family's been involved with Huset Speedway probably close to 60 years. So it's not just something that we've had. We were stockholders back in the day. And one thing, operating a business in the racing business, to pick one thing, there's something that's every week. I couldn't go back and just pick one thing. There's just multiple things. It's something, when you say you've never seen it, it happens. If you say it can't happen, it does. So I don't think there's any one good or bad thing. It's just every week's a memory.
Obviously, with the World of Outlaws coming in as many times as they have, you've seen some of the best in the world. But it's amazing how many people have come to Huset Speedway, raced, cut their teeth in racing. Guys like Donnie Schatz and Craig Delansky, and obviously Terry McCarl, a regular here, multi-time champion. But then Casey Kane comes to town one night and dusts the field, and Tony Stewart racing here. It's amazing how many folks from the racing world have raced on this racetrack.
Oh, it goes back, even goes back farther than that. Back in the olden days, a lot of the USRA drivers were running the Indianapolis 500, and it was nothing for them to pop in and run a sprint car here or would it be any other dirt tracks in the Midwest. But not only sprint car drivers, you can go back and just the other night, Gary Brown, I think he had his 67 or 68 A feature here. So it's not just sprint car guys, it's a lot of the Haugans raced here. I mean, they never had sprint cars, and they went on, I believe one of them ran the Daytona 500 back in the day. And so it's there's been a lot of people come through here, a lot of that went on to be professionals.
And there was a guy by the name of Doug Wolfgang. He turned out okay.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job. Yeah, he's even got a car this year that him and his son they've got out here running the Race Saver class, and a lot of people are excited about that, to see that Wolfgang name back in racing. That's really good for the sport.
Yep. Wolfgangs are racing in the Race Saver class, obviously, and there's been a lot of scrutiny about that. I don't know how much you're into the social media thing, but I know you hear people talk and those types of things. How difficult has it been to keep the keep the course and stay on the business plan when there's so many people scrutinizing what you do week in and week out?
Well, that's you have to look at the future. You have to be a visionary, and that really was a really hard decision to make when we went with a Race Saver and cut our 360 program back. I know they can go out and buy a cheaper motor and compete in that class, but when you can almost buy a 410 for the same price as a 360, it was not going to keep going. I mean, it was something that you force these guys into getting involved with a motor that they really can't afford, and good things don't happen. I mean, you got to be able to take care of mom at home and the family, and this Race Saver class, I'm glad IMCA got on board and is doing something with it, and I'm excited for it.
Well, on behalf of all of us race fans, all of us fans of the sport in general, drivers and business people who've had a chance to market themselves here, thank you for all that you and your family have done to give us fans a great racing place to come every weekend. And we wish you continued success and good luck in your quote-unquote retirement, Steve.
Well, not retirement. I'm too young. We'll go find something to do, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Rod, and I know your family's been a part of this for a long time, too, and there's been a lot of families been here a long time, so it's going to be fun to sit back and watch, and maybe I'll get me an armchair quarterback and get on maybe I'll be a social media bug, and what are you doing that for?
Turnabout fair play. Well, the torch has been passed after the 2015 season. Mr. Chuck Brennan taking over from the Rubin family, and that's our story on this week's Inside Track.
All right, thanks, Rod. Well, as we heard Steve mention briefly, Chuck Brennan has some big changes in store for Huset Speedway. The most talked about, of course, is the renaming of the track to Badlands Motor Speedway. That'll take effect in 2016. Improvements to the racetrack, grandstand area parking, and concessions, along with construction of a Huset's Hall of Fame, are also planned. In fact, several of those projects are going to begin very soon. Finally, Brennan also intends for the racing facility to double as a top-notch outdoor concert venue. Fans can get their first glimpse of that on Saturday, August 29th with the Farewell to Huset Speedway concert event. Details for that are going to be released soon. Well, the music of motors is all that could be heard at Huset's this weekend. We'll look back at that in a bit, but first, we head north to recap the action in Grand Forks. That's next. And welcome back. Well, the end of the 2014 season also marked the end of the extremely successful relationship between outlaw sprint driver Mark Dobmeyer and owner Dave Lunstra. Dobmeyer has since started his own team, while Lunstra hired California native Tim Kading to fill his vacant seat. Both have fared well in their new ventures. Kading has already secured a World of Outlaws win for Lunstra, while Dobmeyer has taken checkered flags at River Cities and Huset's the last 2 weeks. Friday, Dobmeyer looked to make it 3 straight weeks with a win as he returned to his hometown track. More on him in a bit. First things first, though, River Cities honoring last year's track champions, guys like Brad Sang, Austin Pierce, collecting their share of the hardware. All right, let's go racing. Fans saw some great action in the street stocks division. The 43 car of Rory Opp took the lead from the pole, and he held it until lap 5. That's where last year's runner-up in points, Ryan Johnson, goes high around turns 1 and 2, and with that, he takes over the top spot. But their battle was just getting started. Lap 9, they get into some lap traffic. Opp takes the low side on turn 4 and zips past the 25 to get back in front. Fast forward to the final lap. Johnson and Opp trade some paint in the back straightaway. That allows the 25 of Johnson to pull ahead for good and pick up his first win of the 2015 season at River Cities. Harwood's Jim Geringer finished second on Friday, increasing his lead to 9 points over Daniel Aberle in the standings. Bryce Reimer stands third. Ryan Flayton and Steve Richards are each 17 off the pace. The Midwest Modified saw a tight race from the first 3 cars in line at the start. The 21 of Todd Johnson and the 5C of Preston Carr couldn't chase down the pole setter Cole Hoagland, at least not early on. Move ahead to lap 7, one of the most appropriate names in motorsports. Preston Carr makes his move in that 5C, scoots past Hoagland for the lead on turn 2. He would cruise until the final lap. A late caution forces a green-white checkered finish. That would give Hoagland one last chance to make a run at Carr, but the 5C up to that challenge. Carr gets a great jump and flies through the checkered flag to bring home the win. With that victory, Carr closes the gap a bit on points leader Rick Hamill, who came in third. Hamill's lead now 11 points over Winnipeg's Austin Hunter. Hunter turned in a 9th place finish on Friday. Full field for Friday's late model feature in Grand Forks. 16 cars, including Hall of Famer Tom Corcoran in the T1. After starting second, Corcoran found himself out front on lap 1. But the 9 car of Steve Anderson was fast, really fast on this night. He topped out at 86.4 miles per hour to claim the fastest lap of the night. Sometimes, though, it's not about how fast you drive, but how well you drive. And Brad Sang is a living example. The defending champ started 8th, but here he comes. Drives past Corcoran here for 3rd place. And after a lap 13 restart, Sang completes his climb. He gets past the leader, Anderson, and he wouldn't let up from there. Sang picks up win number 2 this season in Grand Forks, while Anderson settles for runner-up.
Track was a little faster than I'd like it, but you adjust to it, and we picked them off one at a time, and we got a timely yellow for us at the end of the race and made it count.
Sang has settled back into the top spot in the standings. He leads his rival and last year's runner-up Joey Peterson by 15 points. Another Grand Forks guy, Dustin Strand, sits 3rd. Talk about a full field. 31 sprint cars showed up at the Bull Ring on Friday, with each of them vying for a spot in the 24-car A main. Speaking of 31, Shane Robling in the 31 machine would earn the pole for the feature. Turn that 31 around, though, and that's where you'll find the 13 of Dobmeyer. The hometown hero had his A game yet again. Dobmeyer works his way up from an 8th place start to take over the lead on lap 7. Jump ahead to lap 10. Dusty Zomer in the Buffalo Wild Wings 82 attempting to reel in Dobmeyer, but he catches his back tire and spins off the track in turn 1. Zomer would restart toward the back, but still manage a 5th place finish. Dobmeyer would have no problems the rest of the way. In fact, he would add to his lead after each of the 4 restarts in this race, and route to his 2nd win in as many appearances at River Cities.
Knew I had to get to the front right away because we got Zomer, Nygaard, and all these NOSA guys are running a lot stronger, and you can't cut them no slack, or they'll beat you up in a hurry.
Dobmeyer has raced River Cities 3 times in 2015 and has finished no worse than 2nd. But it's that 1 week off that's hurting him in the standings. He's 10th overall, 30 points behind the leader and defending track champion Austin Pierce, who ran 2nd on Friday. On the heels of 4 straight rainouts, Huset Speedway finally saw racing on back-to-back Sundays for the first time this season. The highlights coming up next. The Rubin family's farewell campaign has gotten off to a soggy start. After a successful season opener on May 3rd, Huset's had its next 4 events washed out. It nearly happened again this week. Saturday's heavy rains, coupled with some unexpected Sunday showers, cast a little doubt on this week's show. But the good news is Mother Nature didn't win this time. After a brief delay, it turned out to be a great night for racing in Brandon. As always, the hobby stocks got things started. That's Michaela Bolts in the 23 car out front early, but his night was sour in a hurry. After a restart on lap 3, Bolts runs into some mechanical issues. He'd have to pull into the pits and be done for the night. That opens the door for defending track champion Dustin Gulbranson. Off the restart, the 6 car makes its move. Lap 5 now. After another restart, bad luck strikes Gulbranson. The 6 blows its rear tire, and with that, the 4 car of Jim Bartman inherits the lead. The cautions kept on coming, so many in fact that the race would be forced into a green-white checkered finish, and it's Bartman holding off Chad Coonert for his first win of the season. So Coonert's bid for a 3rd straight victory comes up just short, though he does remain on top of the hobby stock standings. He's 5 points in front of Logan Fitzpatrick, who, like Coonert, has 3 top 5 finishes at Huset's in 2015. On to the street stock. Sean Taylor pilots the 71 to the front early on. Zach Olivier fared well in his first season in the street stocks division. He makes a bid for the lead on lap 2, gets by Taylor briefly, only to see the 71 regain the edge in turn 4. Fast forward to the white flag lap now. Here comes the 3 car of Matt Stewart-Wald. He's looking to try and steal the win, but Taylor just does manage to hang on for the victory.
It's always a beautiful thing when you get a win right away, especially at the beginning of the year. You know, get one out of the way, and then it sets the tone for the rest of the year.
Now, as it turns out, Taylor's battle with Stewart didn't really matter because the 3-car was DQ'd after failing his post-race inspection. What it did mean was a few more points for Olivier. He stands second behind Gary Brown Jr. Last year's champ Darren Cordles and Craig Hanisch are tied for third. Moving on to the micro sprint, second feature of the year for this class at Huset, and the head of the class on this night was Corey Forsythe. The Knoxville, Iowa native shoots into the lead right off the bat and never looks back. 49C dominates for the duration, leading wire to wire for the win. Let's up the horsepower now. It's the IMCA Race Savers. The 3Z of Matt Zebarth assumed control of the 12-lap feature from his pole starting spot, but he gets some company on lap 4. Casey Abbott scoots past Zebarth on the inside, and no one was going to catch the 17V. Abbott builds a big lead and cruises to his second win in 3 starts at Huset.
We had a good car from the start. Right away, when the green flag fell, it felt comfortable, and it was rolling around the corner real good. And a couple of the guys had a couple mishaps and slid up and took the lead. And from there, it kind of sucks because you don't know what they're doing behind you, and they can come at any minute.
With that victory, Abbott stretches his lead in the IMCA Race Savers standings to 13 points over Harwood, North Dakota's Trevor Mell, who finished 7th on Sunday. Dusty Ballinger, Robbie Wolfgang, and Zebarth make up the rest of the top 5. Finally, we go to the Outlaws, the 25-lap 410 main event. Jody Rosenboom grabs the lead off the start, but things get dicey in turn 1. There'd be contact, but no caution, so Rosenboom's strong start stands. And that was big because the only passes Rosenboom would have to make from that point forward would be lapped traffic. A restart with 12 to go would bring the 14 back to the pack. Ian Madsick going to do his best to reel in Rosenboom, but he was having none of it. Rosenboom hangs on for the win, which came just a couple of days after the birth of his firstborn son.
Mark Dobmeyer, I sent him a picture because Mark and I are really good friends, and everybody that races around here knows Mark. And he texted me, he said, you know, this is way better than all those A features you've won. And he's 100% right. That is by far the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life.
Huset has had 3 different winners in the 410 Outlaw Sprint class this season, and that parity certainly shows in the standings. You don't see them all here, but there are 8 drivers currently within 16 points of the lead. Dusty Zomer is out front with Logan Forler and Rosenboom right on his tail. The USRA Ironman Challenge Series headlined the weekend in Northwest Iowa. Highlights from Sioux Center and Rock Rapids coming your way next. Sioux Speedway in Sioux Center, Iowa doesn't see a whole lot of racing. In fact, since 2007, the track has hosted no more than 4 events in any one season. In 2015, there would be just 2. The first took place last Thursday night with the USRA Ironman Challenge Series making its first ever stop in Sioux Center. The hobby stocks kick things off, and on the opening lap, it's the 45 of Drew Bargloff taking the lead from Trevor Holm in the 17. Holm would grab the lead back momentarily as they came down the front stretch on lap 4, but Bargloff would regain the edge heading into turn 3. Fast forward to lap 8 and the battle rages on. Holm gives the 45 a little nudge, but Bargloff manages to keep control. Holm, however, not so fortunate. 1 lap later, he gets a little too aggressive and spins himself out. That would bring out the caution. Holm did manage to climb back into contention late. He mounts one last challenge, but Bargloff stands his ground. He hangs on to get the win.
He was right there, just kind of stayed where I needed to be, and I figured if I didn't mess up, he wasn't going to get by, so got lucky.
To the B-Mods now, Ironman points leader Dakota Foster started this one on the pole, and he gains the early lead. He gets some company in turn 4, though, as the 782 of Maya Christensen gets by him on the inside. A caution would bunch up the field a couple laps later, and on the restart, Foster takes the lead back from Christensen. That would pretty much end Christensen's bid for the win. He gets caught up in a wreck a short time later, and that drops him toward the back of the pack. On the ensuing restart, Foster runs away from the field. He cruises to his second Ironman win of 2015.
I didn't get flustered when I got past and able to get back to the lead, and after that I knew I had the car to win. I just knew it was up to me, and well, I was able to get it done somehow, I guess.
Stock cars now, everybody in the 14-car field looking to get a great start. Things get a little dicey in turn 1, but it's the 2J of Steve Jackson that emerges with the early lead. Skip ahead to lap 7. After a restart, it's the 66Z of Elijah Zevenbergen that steals the lead from Jackson, and he wouldn't look back. Zevenbergen runs away from the pack to claim his second Ironman Challenge victory of the season.
Our plan was just to be patient. It's a slippery track, and if your car's set up good, you're going to get to the front one way or the other if you're patient. So I was just taking my time working through the cars.
Same group back in action Friday night in Rock Rapids with the first of 2 Ironman stops at Rapids Speedway. The night got started with the Sportsman's Class feature. We had a 3-way fight for first early on. Bryant Clausen just able to retain the top spot ahead of Nick Brady in the 61N and the 44 of Leon Sneller. But he wouldn't stay there for long. Persistence pays off for Brady the next time around as he manages to sneak past the 14K on the high side and gain the lead. Fast forward to the final lap now. Brady's still out front, but here comes Sneller. Makes his move in turn 3, but he can't hold his line, and that seals it. Brady, who already had a pair of runner-up finishes to his credit this season, gets his first win of the year at Rocky.
In the class that we got, everyone's pretty much competitive against one another, and it's really anyone's race. Kind of get the start down and keep the nose clean, and just waited for my opportunity to give it some gas, and ended up taking the lead and setting sail from there.
Brady has also set sail toward a track championship. 4 weeks in, he's 20 points clear of the field. Sneller is second with Clausen 32 points off the pace in third. The hobby stocks rolled out next for what turned out to be a heck of a race. Pole setter Colton Ahrens looked strong for the first few laps, but it gets a little loose here. That allows Logan Fitzpatrick to shoot into that top spot. Fitzpatrick would stay there for a majority of the 15-lap feature, but things get real interesting late. With 2 to go, he finds himself side by side with Chad Loneman, and the 17L literally shoves the 38S out of the lead in turn 4. That set up a great final lap battle between Loneman and points leader Dustin Gulbranson. The two go back and forth down the backstretch. They're dead even entering the final turn, but the 6 car slips ever so slightly, and that's all Loneman needs. He gets the win in his first appearance at Rocky since the May 1st season opener. Gulbranson settled for second on Friday, but he owns a pretty comfortable lead in the hobby stock standings. Meanwhile, Fitzpatrick is the only driver other than Gulbranson with 4 top 5 finishes in Rock Rapids this season, but he stands 4th overall. The B-Mods took the track next for the first of the night's 2 Ironman races. Pole setter Nick Barger was running well, but lurking behind him was the 84 of Cody Arndt. He started on the outside of row 4, but quickly charged through the field, and he'd end up sliding past Barger for the lead just a few laps in. It was pretty much all Arndt from there. He'd get a brief challenge from Tyler Johnson in the 91 car late, but Arndt pulls away yet again. He goes on to get the checkered flag, but he would not get the win. The 84 was disqualified after failing the post-race inspection, and his loss turned out to be Johnson's gain. After finishing runner-up in Sioux Center on Thursday, Johnson credited for his first ever Ironman win at Rapids Speedway.
I've wanted to win one of these Ironman races for a long time, so to win one like this, it was kind of underwhelming and not very exciting, but I guess that's just kind of how it goes.
That brought us to the USRA stock car feature. They go 4 wide prior to the start of the 25-lap main event. Elijah Zevenbergen was determined to pick up where he'd left off on Thursday. He pilots the 66Z into the lead. Things get a little sloppy from there. The caution flag would fly several times before the end of this one, with one of them coming right here. A total of 5 cars get involved. When all was said and done, more than half the field would fail to finish the race, but Zevenbergen was not one of them. He completes the Ironman Challenge sweep in Northwest Iowa.
Never done it before. It is real tough to do, but I mean the car's just been great, and we got good people backing us, so it's been a good series so far.
Well, we have reached the white flag. We'll wrap things up with a look at your weekend schedule next. Here's the look at your Midco Motorsports calendar for the weekend ahead. Enjoy the races, everyone. We'll see you back here next week.